Hello, Year 10. Well, it's been a tough week in English. You've had tri-weeklies and tri-weekly feedback, but I'm here to tell you that you've all done extremely well. If you go and look on Classcharts, you'll see my comments and achievement points that I've awarded on there. So for today, we're going to be looking at the character of Mr Birling in an Inspector Calls. So you're going to need a pen, a copy of an Inspector Calls and a highlighter. So if you haven't got those, go and get them and come back. And then write the title in, Analysing Mr Birling. Underline it and then on to the next slide. Okay, a bit of a retrieval stroke memory test here. How are each of the characters responsible for Eva's death? I want you to complete that from memory. And Mr Birling sacked Eva because she wanted more money. Sheila used her influence to get her sacked from Millwoods because she was jealous of her. Gerald took advantage of her vulnerability and ended the relationship when it was no longer convenient to him. Eric used her for sex and abandoned her while she was pregnant. Mrs Birling refused to help her as a result of her prejudice against the working class. Hopefully you got that or something like that. If you didn't, write those down. Right, what can you remember about Mr Birling? I want you to, from memory, create a mind map of what you can remember about his character. But leave space because we're going to be adding to it. So if I was you, I'd create the mind map with the round thing in the middle and then Mr Birling, or you could draw a picture of Mr Birling if you wanted. Anyway, and then put what you can remember around the top, and then we'll add around the bottom. Just 5 minutes on that. Now we're going to, or rather you are going to reread pages 1 to 10. Look, we'd have those names there. We'd have people acting it out where we're in school, but we're not, which more's the pity. But anyway, reread pages 1 to 10, and as you go through, highlight and annotate any details about Mr Birling. Now here he is, Mr Arthur Birling. He looks rather too young there, I think, actually, and also his feet are huge. But there's plenty of stuff I've put around him there, which I'd like you to add to your mind map. And also, using your notes from today's lesson, you're highlighting an annotation from reading pages 1 to 10. I'd like you to add to that. And just have a think about, what do we learn about Mr Birling's character? How would you sum him up in a couple of sentences? And when you've completed your mind map for Mr Birling, upload it to Classcharts and I'll have a look at it. Well done, Year 10. Have a nice weekend and I will speak to you next week.